Hi guys, it's Simon at Pulse Cinemas. Welcome to our first Facebook Live. Now we're going to be doing this every Friday at 3 p.m. and we're so grateful for the guys that were joining us today from Storm Audio. So we are currently going to be talking about the Mark II range of Storm. So if you were lucky enough to come around on the tours at ISE, you would have seen us introducing the product. We've actually got it installed at the Pulse showroom. So for the guys that have come through from demonstrations when we're not on lockdown, you would have experienced the extreme performance of this product. Now, George, my main man, is here in the background. I've got David, who's going to be answering questions as well. So you'll see the comment section below. Feel free to ask questions at any time. If there's any real poignant questions, we're going to stop and we're going to ask it. And we've got the real technical guys from Storm that are going to be behind this. So George, roll that, mate. He's good, isn't he, George? He's my best friend, to be honest. He's always behind all of the videography that you see that Pulse produces. And what an absolute talent. He's got a good choice of music as well. It's a nice upbeat song. So I'm going to introduce you to someone very special to me. His name is Sebastian, and he has just been an incredible support to Pulse Cinemas. For you guys that are tuned in at the moment that have used the Storm processors, you would have probably spoken to Seb when you were on site installing. He's probably one of the most helpful guys that I know in this industry, and we are so grateful to have him here today to present the Mark II range, which has superseded the Mark I products from Storm. So let's bring him into the webinar.
Hi, Simon. Thank you for the introduction. Very nicely. Good.
How you
doing? I'm doing very good. Very happy to be here today. Thank you very much. It's your first session. We are very happy to be the first one. Really good.
Yeah,
George, like that. The music, I wanted to dance, so that's really good. Really.
I was actually dancing behind the scenes, but I just sort of
exactly, yeah.
Before the camera came on. But no, we are seriously so grateful for you to be here today. As I say, these Facebook Lives are going to be going out every Friday. And do you know what? It's a nerve-wracking thing for people to get in front of cameras, and we really appreciate the effort that you've put in. The guys that are watching are really going to be just so enthusiastic about the presentation that you've got to show.
Hope so.
And let's go through it. So let's bring it up. Let's go through this Mark II range. Educate me. Imagine I am the examiner and I don't know the answers. Just tell me what it is.
Yeah, so, well, I think it's very important to actually start by something that we would call a history. I mean, Storm Audio is a brand that is now in the market for quite some time, but for many people, it's not that clear, the exact history. So we thought that it would be very interesting to, let's say, describe a little bit where we come from and where we want to go to. So actually, Storm Audio is the brand, and the brand has been owned by many different, let's say, companies, and the whole story started roughly a bit earlier than 2010, and that was the creation in a small city in France by 2-3 enthusiastic coming more from the R&D department and passionate by stereo at that time, especially the amplifier technology, and they made research and had a patent on feedback loop for amplifier. They decided to make their own product, launch the brand as Storm Audio with this first amplifier, and that was called at that time Storm Focus. Over the time, the company has gotten some investors, and actually they got the same investor as a company called Digital Media Solutions. Stereo world was not really, in development. It was kind of, where do we go? And the investors put together this brilliant people, and they decided that Storm Audio should be now part of a bigger company. And it's been acquired by Digital Media Solutions, who at that time was involved in cinema market and also some other distribution elements. So they were working on the cinema processor, and it was really an interest to move from stereo to multi-channel at the time, because we were at the end, let's say, of the 7.1 systems, and really immersive audio was starting to be kind of in development. They've been approached by Oro 3D, and they decided, yeah, let's make a new processor for the residential market that would integrate the Oro 3D technologies. And this is when the relationship between Storm Audio and Oro Technologies really started. They created.
Sorry, when you say Oro Technologies, do you mean like the guys in Galaxy Studios in Belgium that do all of the crazy kind of sprung-loaded buildings and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, yes. Those who wanted to really push the immersive audio to the consumer experience. And yes, you know, Wilfried van Bellen was really the genius guys behind that. So, well, we went together into integrating that into this processor range that they started. And that's really the beginning of a really nice adventure. So at that time, it was decided that DMS residential was actually had to be led by someone from the custom install market, and they put at his head the founder of Screen Research, who really had a good knowledge about the custom install. So this is when we started development of the Storm Audio brand, but also products for Oro Technologies. And plan at the time was to have an Origa, that's the product, and it integrates 13 channels and the whole Oro 3D technologies at that time. So that was really an impressive product. So the development went on up until actually, I think 2014, when Dolby Atmos came out. And it was kind of the right time to start something new.
Yeah.
Oro Technologies decided to actually pursue in that direction, and DMS wanted to kind of split his cinema business. So Oro Technologies acquired at that time the assets that was owning the processor business to continue the development around the Origa processor, but also more importantly to start the development of a new platform so we could have Dolby Atmos and all the DTS:X systems on board. So that's really a very important turn for us. And we are roughly now in 2000, end of 2015. Yeah, that's already 5 years ago. And it took some time. You know, this new platform was really a heavy development on our side, involving a good number of engineers. You know, having all these codecs on board was kind of an exciting challenge. And it ended up with the introduction at actually CEDIA 2015, but with real production launch at ISE 2016. And from there,
yeah, I actually really remember that.
Yeah, and that was really amazing. We had a big demo at that time, you know, at the ISE. I mean, you were there. That was really fun with this 24 channels demo with Oro.
I remember. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, I was really impressed by the quality we could get there. So a lot of power and dynamics. So that was really impressive. The brand started to really, go worldwide with a global distribution that came in place. But at the time, you know, it was kind of for Oro Technologies, they realized that actually running a company that is really a production company where industrialization is more important than software in terms of, money that has to be put in terms of resource. Oro decided to go back into really their core, which is software, and decided to sell the hardware division, and through a management buyout and some investment from Safelberg Investment in Belgium, there has been the creation of immersive audio technologies, and this is really when Storm Audio started to be independent from Oro and on its own, and this is the real then let's say continuing process to get the distribution in place and all that. So that was really a great turn for us, especially, you know, being with Oro was very nice, but also to talk with Dolby and DTS was kind of not so simple. So being on our own was really easier to work, and we could keep moving into the future development, more channel count and things like that. So yeah, we are in 2018, and this is really the key year for us to grow into the market, and it's been really nice for us. But that was with what you mentioned initially with the MK1 platform, which was, let's say, really a techie product, really meant to be for rack and etc. And the brand was starting to look a little bit old. So that was the year when we started to think about, let's say, come with something new. And this is when we started to look at the MK2 product line. But in the meantime, actually, in 2019, something very interesting arrived to us. We we started to get recognized in the market as a really good platform in the immersive zone. And two brands, famous brands, Bryston and Focal, approached us and asked us basically, can you help us make processor and an integrated receiver? Well, for us, this was really a super initiative, and we put a lot of resources in that. And that helped us a lot also in terms of growing in features and production capabilities and all that. So a very nice adventure up until early to 2020, actually end of 2019, where we could reshape the whole brand with the new brand identity that you now are aware of, and that we are really proud to get on us. But also the product get new, and with this really new look, new higher channel count capability, and a beautiful product, something really good. So that's the history.
Springs to mind for when you mentioned about the Bryston Focal side of things is I went out to the Munich Hi-Fi show about, nearly 2 years ago now, I think it was. And no, it was last year we went out there, and there was a PMC demonstration, because obviously everything at the Hi-Fi show is obviously 2-channel stuff, but the PMC boys did a full Dolby Atmos reproduction, and they had Def Jam records there, and they were playing some real crazy stuff in comparison to the sort of tippy-toppy jazz that you normally hear at those kind of shows, and they were using the Bryston to do that. So it was kind of like, it was warming to me to sort of sit there and know that what was performing and what was producing this audio was really Storm Audio in that respect. It was really cool.
Yeah, well, that's what we are all looking for here at Storm Audio. So that's brilliant, and we're very happy that Bryston can have such a piece in their catalog.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Storm Audio, it's also a company, and actually, we are not a big company. We are roughly 18 person right now. Yeah, can you see that? Well, we're quite young. Actually, I'm one of the older guy here. Well, that happens, Yeah, 18%, 70% engineering, a lot of people. So it's mechanics, electronics, software, and DSP. So we have really all the important skills in-house, and that's really important when you are in this industry to have the key, really the key features capability in-house. But we are in France, based in France, in the West Coast. It's a very nice place. Weather is good. You can go and have a good swim. It's really, really life here.
What's it like at the moment? Is it all right?
It's okay.
Okay. When we went out there, actually, because we brought a load of dealers out to you for some training.
I remember.
You're at the new interfaces that you were doing and some demonstrations, calibration training, all that kind of stuff. Do you remember it was about blooming 40 degrees or something the whole time we were there, and you'd only just moved into the new facility and the aircon hadn't been put in yet, so we were all, remember sitting in the room and everyone was just drenched. But it was brilliant. That
was indeed impressive, like 12 persons in the demo room without air conditioning and the projector.
Yeah, we can't do it now though, to be fair. We were
but then remember we went to the river and had a good kayaking.
Yeah, we did kayaking, and we went on a riverboat, and I think there was a lot of alcohol being served that night. So
yes, and that was with the French way.
Yeah, exactly. It's good that we're redoing the training now, actually, because some of them are probably tuned in now from missing it, from being too drunk.
Yeah, well, you know what? We are really looking forward to do something again. I mean, with this COVID situation, we have to do brilliant things like we do now, but there's nothing like being live and together. Definitely. Anyway, let's go back to the company, right? And you met all these guys at the time.
Yeah,
but,
we did.
France is a nice country, but this is really not the place where we sell the most products. Actually, we are really selling most of our products worldwide, and we have a global organization. We have the French headquarters, but we have also 2 additional offices that are sales and support. The second word being very important, support is to us really fundamental, and with these 3 different offices, we are really like offering a 24/7 support. As I mentioned to you, that's really important, and I'm kind of head of the support, so I want to have reactivity. That's really important. Definitely. As I mentioned, everything is in-house. Of course, we do, let's say, outsource some of the things, because some expertise, you don't want to have everything in-house, but most of the key elements are in-house. all done in France. We are really proud to be made and manufactured in France. And this happens, we are really already in the West Coast, but actually production is far west. It's really at the very end of Brittany, a nicer place than here. So, and that's also a quality factory, and they've been building things for Dassault, like defense and avionics. Really nice workmanship and really qualified manufacturers. So the quality of the products, thanks to them, is really high. So we're very happy. So a small company, and one of the characteristics is that we are really all passionate about sound. I'm working in that industry for about 20 years now. Well, it reminds me that I'm getting old, but that happens. So it brings a lot of energy and passion to building the products and move forwards and listening to also everybody around, like you guys, when you come with ideas. So that's the company, right? Good. You know what? Company means to us DNA, and that's really something where it is important to describe why we are here and what is our creeds when we set up the company. And one of the key aspects of Storm Audio when we created the product is that it was very, very fundamental that when you invest such amount of money, because we are in the high-end market and our products are not the cheap one, right? You make an investment, so you want to make sure that you get something that can really sustain over time, and that's what we do. I mean, the product, they are whole future-proof. They have firmware and hardware upgrades. When you start with us, you just buy what you need. If the system at your customer base, if your installation, you want to grow in channels, you just need to add modules and all that. So upgradability is really important. So that's one of the creeds that we have. The second one, very important, is the ease of use. I mean, it is a very techy product, but we don't want to sell to engineers. We don't, we have enough engineers in the room out there. We want our customers to be happy to use the product and not call me every day to say, I don't know where to go in your product. So we try to make it really easy to use. And that's the second thing. This product can be put in the end of, let's say, a beginner in the home theater environment, but also a very skilled guy, knowing calibration. So that's all that is possible. Ease of use with automated calibration. I mean, we'll go through that a bit later. So that's really the second creed that is really important. The third one is optimal performance. What does it mean? In high-end, you have a lot of esoteric things that can be up to, I don't know, millions. But what we are here, I mean, at some point we go back to engineering. To us, what does that mean to be optimal in performance? Well, it's to offer the exact needed performance level that is required to achieve the let's say emotion that we're looking for in a cinema. So optimal performance is really about selecting the right criteria in the audio space and reproduce them really precisely in order to come with high dynamic, transparency and all that. So that's really here. Do not do too much. Do it right. That's really where we are. And in the end, the number 4, and this is the key element when you work in the custom install business, right? This is premium support. And I'm really proud to be working with Storm Audio and the people here, because engagement of the team and our support offices around the world is really great. And we do provide support usually in the same working day. And when there are critical problems,
I've seen that firsthand with people like Michael from Perfect Integration. He's a guy that you've spent a lot of time with on site virtually, sort of getting things set up and taking him through the setup of products. And he's done a few storms now, actually in a couple of award-winning cinemas with Cedia. And he absolutely loves the product and has commented on the level of support that you give him personally. And I think that's so important, that it's not just about raising a ticket and getting an answer and then sort of coming in and fixing the problem. It's about that experience with a dealer and you guys feeling like you're in this together, because we are, at the end of the day. The end goal is get the good performance for the client, but we need everyone to sort of come together and make that. And the upgradability side of things is so important, because at the end of the day, this is a really fast moving industry and things change every day. So having the flexibility to upgrade and move with the times is something that I think is a fear of a lot of people. A lot of people kind of may not, they dip their toe in, but they don't quite jump in because they're waiting for the next possible upgrade. And I always say that get yourself to a level of performance that you're really happy with. Let the hair stand up on the back of your neck, because that's never going to change. But know that with a brand like Storm, you have got the flexibility to upgrade in the future.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, I'm very happy that you guys appreciate our support level, and it's really important, you know, that any integrator feels happy to work with us and in confidence that in the end his customer is happy, and that's really important. So, well, that's our DNA, and our DNA really now is
in the processes themselves.
Exactly. I mean, what do we sell? Well, we have processors and amplifiers. Processor, the strategy behind the product range, I mean, the processor range, is that we actually have one base product, that is the ISP16 analog MK2. That's the base product. And it's got some slots in the back panel that you can fit with different modules. And these modules will help you go from 16 to 24 to 32 channels in analog. But also, if you are in a cinema that has active speakers with digital input capability, well, maybe you want to go into the 32-channel digital model that offers 32 channel in AES EBU. We also have AVB, which is an audio over IP system that works with some very specific speakers, but that's possible to do with our product. And also in the very high-end systems, we see, and that's actually coming more and more with the distanciation of COVID. You can't go to the cinema anymore. So we have some customers really are doing complete DCI integration in their home. They buy DCP package, so they have the movie at the same time that it goes to the cinema. Yeah. Well, they can buy the DCI 16 DCI module and fit that into the ISP. So the process is really built
as well, with the fact that obviously with cinemas being closed and people wanting that experience in their home. I mean, I know that, don't get me wrong, DCI stuff is very expensive, but if you are living in that world, then you can kind of keep that commercial cinema element alive in your cinema.
Yeah, and to be honest, this year for our business, we've seen really a trend. People were hesitating to invest. They are actually doing it now. They think this is the right time to take care of their home and then have a nice place where to enjoy having a good movie with the family, or have a media room where they can place some multi-channel things. So that's really nice. So that's really the processor, what it is made for. And the key thing is, with the modularity that we have and the way we have built the platform, is that it's really future-proof. At the moment, we're working on a future module that will be out in Q2 next year, which is around AES67 and DENTI compatibility. That will offer audio over IP with 32 inputs, 32 outputs. And the 32 in is really nice, because talking about these DCI guys, you'll be able to get real Dolby Atmos cinema 32 channels from a DCP server to the processor, and have this render into a standard cinema at the consumer guy. So it's really an exciting thing. So that's really what we like with our product line, is that we can really think of the future without having to redo every year the complete platform. We just make it evolve.
Yeah. Wow. So let's have a look at this. One of the things that I think a lot of people have been really excited about, and I think you touched on it a little bit earlier on about the Mark 1 product. One of the things that the old product has, the new product has that the old product didn't, is that the look of the product. I think the overall aesthetics of the system is completely different. I mean, it's really kind of a capturing looking product with the real nice sort of smoked glass and the beautiful sort of aluminium look to the back. It's just the overall feel of the product really puts it into that high-end market now. And I do think that was actually a bit of a sticking point for a lot of customers when the Mark 1 product was around.
Yeah. As I said, I mean, the Mark 1 was for us the way to establish our technology to the market, but that was not enough to be recognized as really a high-end brand. And with the new brand identity and the new MK2, as you described it, we made the move. And we were actually ourselves really impressed by the look of the product in the end. It took us, you know what? It took us more than 6 months to go into that design and think about, it has to be really classy and really refined and with beautiful finishing, and that's what we've got now, and we're very happy. So, and it moved us around, and MK2 has really, MK1 was here in terms of recognition, and now we're here,
Yeah,
and
the awards, pretty prestigious awards you got going on there, aren't they?
yeah, that year has been really wonderful for us. I mean, we've got recognition by the peer. Actually, City Awards is really a recognition that we are doing things right. Actually, we go in the right direction, and that's really good. And also for the first time, we got this twice VIP for the best audio hardware and preamps and processor, and that really made an impressive move to us. And in the end, this residential systems recognition is also good. That's what we wanted. We wanted to be sure that we are doing the things right, and getting these awards is just confirming that the company here, the team, the work they're doing all together is for the right thing. And yeah, very happy, very proud to be working for Storm Audio at the moment, I would say.
Awesome. So we've been through the history, we've met the team. I think some of the team are hiding around you at the moment, aren't they? You've got Julia and Olivier there in the room with you.
Well, they're not far. I think they can hear me right now.
Over 2 meters away.
At some point, we never know. I can ring the bell. Let me ring the bell. Ding, ling, ling.
Yeah,
no, maybe.
We're really excited about to see some of the key features of this product.
Yes.
Now,
you know what? I just picked up the most important, let's say, at the moment, and one of the most important features that you need when you are in the processor custom install world is really about how do you manage inputs. And one of the things, and that was a very important move when we were thinking about the MK2, was that we suffered a lot with the MK1 about HDMI technology. At that time, we were not really, owning it, and we were not having a good mastering on it. And yeah, that was really a #1 support case at that time, 2 years ago. So we decided to say stop to that, and we come on our own. We decided to approach an expert in Taiwan, really doing HDMI is his main business. He's doing nothing else. And we started development of our own module with them, a 7 inputs, 2 outputs that was a fully HDCP 2.2 HDMI 2.0 with the speed 18 gigabits per second on any port. And we made that design. It took us a year to really mature it and all that. And when we came out, it was first introduced with the Astral 16 at Focal, but when we got it on the MK2, there was a whole new dimension. All of a sudden, no more call for HDMI. That was like, what happened? It was like, man, I can go sleep tonight. It was great. It was great. And so with that board, we were supporting all the expected new things like HDR10, HLG, Dolby Vision compatibility, but also some advanced feature like the eARC, which is part of the HDMI 2.1. And something also very important that nobody else has, which is really about the on-screen display. It may seem nothing, but actually when you are in a system where the control system does not provide feedback on the remote control, you don't want to be blind in your room and not know where you are in terms of volume adjustment, for example. So with the on-screen display, you can do that. No surprise, just press the button and you see what happens. That's really cool. So in terms of inputs, this HDMI development was really key and was to us fundamental. And I believe that's a big part of the success of the MK2 at its launch. But it's not only it. I mean, we of course offer the standard analog inputs, coaxial digital inputs. So all of that is, of course, basic, and you can do 7.1 also on the analog if you have your whole SACD player that you want to enjoy in multi-channel, that you can do that as well. Yeah, but most important,
there's a lot of products out there that you still need to be integrated into stuff. I think my dad's still got a VHS that he might even want to work on still. So
yeah, and can you connect it somewhere at the moment? That's the problem with that. You need to keep your whole TV to do this, but that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, HDMI has killed everything else, so that's really interesting. And the other thing where we've been asked over the years to go into was really about streaming, and it's been complicated to us to take a decision here. We've discussed with a lot of other brands, that are specialized in streaming and what it takes for them to be alive there in that market. And we realized that streaming on our own was like opening too many doors of let's say complexity and eventually problems in support. So we decided that streaming should go by a good window, and that's when we decided to go for Rune Ready, and that's one of the key features that we also brought this year. Simply by firmware upgrade, any MK2 owners has that, but also MK1 because it's offered for free. Yeah, and Rune Ready has really also, let's say, accompanied the fact that we really move into the high-end sound quality with the MK2. The Rune Ready streaming ecosystem really makes a good deal of bringing quality streaming to the system. So that is, in terms of inputs, a sensational combination that we have on the MK2. And I would say that all of this input at some point, well, we need to do something of them. And with the MK2, we have a really strong decoding and upmixing capability, and this is what I'm going to describe to you right now. Currently, the MK2 range offers the capability to decode up to 24 channels, which is, let's say, a pretty unique feature in the market. I think, as far as I know, there's only one actor who can do as good as that, and that's we're proud of that. The platform is actually 32 channel capable, but for now we are migrating to 24 channels at the decoding level, not mixing, to support 13.1.10, which is a quite significant amount of speakers that normally satisfies most of the rooms.
I was going to say, yeah, most residential setups, I mean, you're looking at a pretty decent amount of speakers for that room there.
Oh yeah. That's really amazing. When we got people calling us saying, you know what, you are missing some channels. Yeah, what? where do you want to put more speakers? Maybe we put subwoofers in the ceilings, Okay, why not? So Dolby Atmos, of course.
Interior designers going, no more speakers.
You know what? It's like in my place at home, I can do things that I want only in one room. My home cinema. That's the only place I can do what I want. The other space, forget about it. I had to put small speakers in the wall. I did. Yeah. But in the theater, do as you wish. So I have like 14 square meter, and I have around 16 speakers over there. It's magical thing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I mean, counting about channels this year, and it takes a little bit of time for us to go out with it, but DTS:X Pro is coming, and it's really doing a good job, and it will also be supported on the 24 channels. So DTS:X Pro will be released before the end of this year, and we're really impatient that you guys have it on your theaters. And of course, our roots has been to be with Oro since the beginning, and of course we keep Oro 3D technology, and we see that with Oromatic, the upmixing that they have is one of the favorite upmixer that a lot of integrators are let's say advising to their customers. So that's pretty amazing. The benefit of these 24 channels is that in the base layer, you really have the possibility now to have a very nice spatial resolution, because going to 13 channels with the new speakers like the surround 1 and 2, rear surround 1, and also screen center channels. So if you have a very wide screen, like maybe 4 to 5 meters, you might consider to have more speakers behind the screen. Well, with the new decoder that the MK2 has launched, I mean, has integrated, that's really now this is possible, and it's not only in the base layer that we've made a huge step in the height layer as well, with the addition of some height front and back to the Dolby Atmos. It makes really now a uniformity of all the codecs, whether you are in Dolby Atmos or DTS:X Pro or Oro 3D. You can make really a very nice entertainment in any room. So that's about the decoding of the platform at the moment. The picture you see here is actually an illustration that was picked up from the web UI that you will see a little bit later in the presentation. Yeah. All right. Pull that close. Yes. So yeah, decoding. That's very nice. Now you're very happy. You have a lot of channels that have been decoded, but one of the most important thing here is that you want to do something about it. And the ISP range has always been designed to be really a Swiss knife for all the integrators, and offer, it's really a decoder and an audio processor, and the post processing is really something key in this platform. Idea here is to offer something that is really for the experts, but also for the people who are not really expert at all in the system. If you are an expert, we provide all the tools so that you can do the manual calibration, and that's really everything you need around the base management, whether you go for the standard that we have or the very expert base management that I'll explain later on. But you can also define multi-way active speakers, up to 4 ways actually. And for any channels, we do offer 20 parametric EQ, which is very important if you want to do a decent manual calibration. But you know what? It's not easy to do a calibration being blind. So you need to be able to partner that with some measurement system. And this is when we also decided to integrate additional plugin to the products. And we do support plugin like the Room EQ Wizard, which in a way is like you take the Room EQ Wizard system, and you can do all your measurements, your EQ over there. And when you're done with that, using the generator, actually you use your computer, you go through the processor, and you can go into all the channels that you have in the room. You can equalize them all. At the end, you just load EQ that you take from the Room EQ Wizard to the ISP. You don't have to type everything manually. It's very straightforward. So
there's a lot of people out there that use things like Room EQ Wizards, and having that conjunction with it that's really useful.
That's really important. So that's where, let's say, I would say this is a tool that is very important for the expert calibrator. I would say you can do everything you want, but most of the installer, and I believe you at Pulse know that very well. I mean, you have a lot of very expert integrator, but you also got a lot of people who are passionate by their let's say the way they want to build and building theaters, but they're not acousticians, and they do not have the capability to make a really good calibration by themselves, fully manually. So the 32-channel processing capability of the system is also made in an automated way. You can do through a complete calibration process using Direct Live and the new bass control in a really easy, straightforward process. And that gives, in the end, a very nice correction, smoother bass reproduction, including all your subwoofers and speakers in the room.
I mean, one of the things that we do, Seb, at Pulse, is that we've got a couple of key members of the team that are trained in all sorts of different kind of things that you need in cinema from the audio-visual perspective. And one thing that we actually offer to dealers is a calibration of the Storm Audio free of charge with every sale. So if you want to go for it yourself, feel free. That's no problem at all. But we do have key members of the team that will come out and they will help to calibrate, and they'll set that system up for your first couple of times to get you up to scratch with what you need to know, really. So if you do go into Storm as a brand, guys, just remember that, because that's a really key thing. And you might meet him one day on a video chat. I'll pull him down.
Yeah, and we are really appreciating the involvement of Pulse team in going to all the trainings that we've been doing, and the knowledge of the product that you have really help your integrator to use it in a proper way, and to really push to the limits and to the capability of the product. So that's really nice. With that said, I must say, our really what we want is to enable anybody to really have a good performance out of the product, and with the bass control that Direct Live, the Direct company, sorry, has launched this year, it has all of a sudden moved to really the right direction. And if we go into a little bit more of details, just for you to comprehend what happened with the bass control, is that so far the Direct Live 2.0 was really doing a good job in doing the calibration, but it was only looking at speakers individually. So whether you have multiple subwoofers or speakers, and measurements was done like, I measure that left speaker and I do such a way that this left speaker sounds good in the room. But then what happens if you have all the speakers playing together, right? You're not installing that so that you play them one by one. Well, what happens is that in the bass you get a little bit of not good things, and that's what's summarized here in the different curves that you can see. With Dirac Live 2.0, when you do the overall summation, you get something that is not really controlled. The way to go around that so far was that you had to, let's say, calibrate your subwoofers manually first. So all your subwoofers, to taking care of the placements, doing phase alignment and all that, to make sure that in the room modes and in the space of the listening area, that you get something that behaves correctly in the bass. And once you were okay with that, you were grouping the subwoofers all together, and you could do the calibration with Dirac, and taking that group of subwoofers as one entity for Dirac. This was providing a quite okay experience, but still we were missing the transition management, so the smoothing of what happens with the subwoofer in the room, but also the speakers, because the crossover area is really a critical one. This is what you have a lot of energy, and if you're not in phase in that space, the bass will not be really clean, and you will miss a lot of intelligibility. And bass control really changed that dramatically. The idea of bass control is that you extract the basses of all the speakers, and you take the LFE, you mix that all together, and on the per channel bass, you use any kinds of freedom in terms of phase level alignment. You put that together into the subwoofer so that you do multiple things. You do subwoofer to subwoofer alignment. So that's really to make sure that the modes are well corrected in your listening area. You do subwoofer to speakers pair alignment. That's to make sure that in the crossover transition, you do not have too much accident, and that this is really crystal clear in that aspect. And then in the end, because you got a lot of pairs in your room, especially it's very critical for the front speakers, the left and right speakers. You have also speakers to speaker pair alignments. And that's all of that is done with the bass control, and the result is really exceptional. I must say that for something that is done in an automated way, you get most of the time 99% something really good. I do not say that this is perfect, because you can certainly go a bit further if you are an expert guy, but to reach the performance of what bass control is doing, you need to spend a lot of time measuring and tuning each speaker and so forth. And actually, it's almost impossible to do that. But anyway, in the end, you minimize the seat-to-seat variation, and you get very controlled some effects. That's what we do with our 32-channel processing and the Dirac bass control.
So I mean, what's important there is, like, one of the things that I'm kind of coming up against all the time is that there's getting the room right first and using minimal correction to get it correct, let's say. But one of the things that is quite apparent to me, I suppose, in my opinion, is correct sound necessarily a good sound? And one of the things that's really, like, quite interesting to think about is different personalities of people. And what's been really nice about having this kind of flexibility with a calibration system is that, for example, one of our guys on site with the dealer, sitting with the client, doing these calibrations, is able to really kind of dial into the taste of performance that client wants. Everyone's got different kind of preferences. I mean, I'm a bass junkie. I used to drive around in a bloody Vauxhall Corsa with two 12-inch subwoofers in the back of bouncing down the road. And for me, it was all about as much bass as I could possibly fit into my tiny little car. But obviously, that's my taste. But it's really nice to have that real kind of control over the calibration, to be able to give the customer exactly what they want.
Yeah, you're right. And the thing, I mean, what you say is just key here. There are no single listening preference. It's really up to the end customer. And sometime I got a call that someone has done the Dirac, the bass control, and he calls me. It doesn't sound right. What? Yeah, there's no bass. And I said, come on, how did you adjust your target curve? I mean, have you looked at that? And actually, well, target curve was pretty flat. And here you need to have a little bit of background about how it behaves in the home cinema room and all that. So I just mentioned that, it's not because this is flat that this is nice to hear. Actually, the hear does not work this way. So it's very important that the target curve is shaped in a correct manner, and that at some point should follow some rules. But in the end, as you mentioned, also a little bit of the taste. By tweaking the target curve, you can really reach the expectations in terms of sound reproduction, and you create what we call an audio profile, and you can do up to 10 audio profiles per theater in our case. So you can have your dance mood with a lot of bass, that can also be with the cinema, actually, with the movies, but you can also kind of put it a little bit more quiet for normal music style. So yeah, that's really the flexibility what you expect. And the thing of being able to tweak your target curve within the rack is that you can tweak it, but at the end, all the calculations will be done again, so to make sure that the overall bass performance is really smooth and precise and tight. And that is what really has impressed us when they came with the bass control. The only thing that let's say could still be improved with the bass control is that at the moment the bass control is only managing subwoofers, so you're not able to use let's say a large speaker that would be really highly capable in the bass. It's not integrated into this bass management. So of course you can play with the speaker in large, but it will not be included correctly in the bass control. So usually going to bass control, I would say you are more in a THX-like system where you cross over around 80 hertz, you get subwoofers, as many as you wish. There are no limitations with the implementation that Storm Audio has done. We are the only one in the market with a 32-channel Dirac Live calibration, more than 3,000 taps of filter per channel, and with no limitation in the number of subwoofers, only, I would say, the channel count. So it's really what the processor can bring at the moment, So I think that's enough information right now on the 32-channel processing. What do you think?
It's pretty mind-blowing, to be honest.
Right.
Do you know what? It's, for me, what's great about it is when I do a demonstration at Pulse, the smile on people's faces when they listen to all this. And the fact is that this is the kind of level of detail that goes into delivering a performance like that. It's not just pick up a box, put it in a rack, plug it in, and it makes some noise in some speakers. This is a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears to make this product do what it does. And I think when we see this kind of level of expertise going into these products, it really opens the eyes of the people that are selling it to their clients at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean that's really again, this is what Storm Audio is about. It's really provide the technology and in the right way. And again, we just talked about Dirac, so that's really, let's say, for if you don't want to go into the trouble of doing everything manually. But as I mentioned, we have very important tools for those strong calibrator that, I mean, you have at Pulse or you can really accompany also. And as I mentioned, the bass management is one of the critical thing. And actually, what bass control is doing, you are able to do it also manually. And this is, if you are, let's say, really qualified to know how to use measurements and all that, well, you can use our flexible bass management. And the bass management, when in the expert mode, really helps you to go into very fine bass control in the room. The whole idea behind the flexible bass management is that you can create what we call bass zones, and you can do that up to 6 zones. A zone is fed with the extraction of the bass coming from a certain speaker. So you will define, for example, here you have in that illustration, you can see that you have 5 bass zones: a side left bass zone, a side right bass zone, a front and a back bass zone. So those zones are the extraction that you define on your small speakers. And the magic in the end, after that, once you have created your bass zone, is that you can direct this to the speakers and the subwoofers that you want. What is you define as the bass reproducer in your room. So you can really, if you have a big room, you might be tempted to let's say, keep localization, a little bit of localization of your bass, and that sometimes it is true. Because Dolby Atmos, I mean, and most of the new immersive soundtrack, they are now providing bass content also in the surround, but also in the height. So it starts to make a lot of sense to try to create a bass not localized. It would be too much to say, but a little bit of maintaining the bass location. So you can have your side bass reproduction, your back bass reproduction. Also, why not a ceiling bass space? You can do that with the flexible bass management. Yeah. There's no limit.
Awesome.
So it was very important to offer that flexible bass management to those calibrators, but it's also important for when you want to use large speakers as a subwoofer. The critical thing is, if you want to use a large speaker as a subwoofer, is that the bass part should be aligned differently from the rest of the speaker, because the interference in the low frequencies will not act in the same, let's say, phase relationship compared to what happens on the higher frequency. You need to make sure that everything is smooth in the low frequency. So doing this flexible bass management, you are able to really drive, even in a single speaker, you can really tweak independently the bass part from the higher frequency part. And that's, for the expert guys, is really a good toy. They love that, right? But that has to be given into the right hands, because that's kind of dangerous, right? If
George trying to calibrate this, he'll probably
yeah, if you give that to someone who, let's do that, magic, it can be dangerous. But well, there are some extremely good calibrators out there. So that's the flexible bass management that I wanted to talk about, because that's really important to describe, and that will be part of actually the firmware that we will release in the coming weeks, that will include the DTS:X Pro.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we still have a lot to cover.
We have lots of things to talk about. I mean, talk about multiple control, because I think I seem to remember this when I was at the facility in France. This is all about having the ability to kind of create multiple different listening experiences with one area. So if a customer's got like a big open plan kitchen area with a listening zone.
Yeah, one of the important thing of the Storm Audio, and that's a unique one, it's that it's actually a multiple theater and multiple zone capable unit. You have a bank, you have 32 channel, right? And those 32 channels, you do whatever you want with. You will create your main theater, but if you still have like 10 channels left, well, feel free to use them. You might have a lounge somewhere where you want to place a 5.1 system. And why not the kitchen? Okay, well, you can create 1, 2, or 3 theaters as you wish, maybe one main and then your lounge, 2 theaters, and you can use also additional channels to create audio zones. And the way the system works is that when you define theater, is that you will play one theater at a time. Yeah. So you can play your movie in your home cinema room. You want to finish the movie in the lounge. Well, you can move to the lounge, and all the settings, everything will be set, and it will activate the speakers in the lounge and continue the playback over there. So
that would be calibrated with the same kind of calibration techniques.
You can do, any theater will have the exact same capabilities in terms of calibration. Whether you do manual or direct bass control, you can do that on all the environments. So all the theaters that you can define, you can do the management, you can do the adjustment. So that's definitely possible. The only limitation with theaters is that it's one at a time. We only provide a single instance of decoding. So Dolby Atmos, DTS:X Pro can only be decoding once in one place. So that's why it's one theater at a time.
But that's not from a control perspective, though. Obviously, you guys support all the major control systems. The installer would be able to integrate that within the control system of the client, so they'll be able to effortlessly, essentially, move from zone to zone, and the processor would be able to switch itself to that.
Definitely, and that's done through what we call the listening presets. This is where we link the theater with the audio profile that you made, Dirac and all that, but also some other settings like the audio zones. And the audio zones is the second part of this multi let's say zone capability. You can create additional stereo zones, and the stereo zones in that case, they are independent, meaning that you can play something in the theater like a movie from the Oppo player, and have radio playing in the kitchen. And if you created also a bedroom zone, you can have the bedroom playing the same song as in the kitchen or the content that is playing in the theater. So for the audio zones, we have a second source selection path. So one source selection path goes to the theater, one source selection goes to the audio zones. And you're free to say whether you want to use this second source or the same content as the theater when you are in the audio zone. So, you know, in a way, it's not going to replace your Crestron or Control 4 multi-room system. It's not the idea. The idea was more to say, you invest in a product that is, you know what, this is quite expensive. I mean, if I want to buy a Storm Audio product, I will have to work a bit harder. but if you have the money to build that nice theater with the processor, well, you might want to use as much as possible of it, you know, make the best out of it. And for integrators, we offer the possibility to do small multi-room systems without having the need to invest into more gears, into more hardware. And this actually goes a little bit further if you think about it, because when you are in your theater, you know, not everybody has this dedicated room.
Yeah.
Sometimes the home theater is actually part of the main living room, where you can have the listening space, but just behind you, the table where you have dinner with friends, maybe with a TV in the corner. Well,
you see that there, like the TV in the back, and then you've got the right, left surround, but the sub, so that's a different setup. So you can almost have it just
exactly, and that's the whole idea with the sub theater. So within a theater, you have the possibility to have a different usage of your speakers. You can have your 7.1.4 mode, but you can also say that you use the surround right and the surround back right speakers so that it becomes left and right for your TV together with your subwoofer. That becomes your TV diner preset. But also, you know, before watching a movie, you have some dance music with friends and you gather around and you have a good drink. You will select the ambient music mode, where only the seating speakers would have been linked together and would play the mono signal that has been selected together with your two subs, because you like bass, Simon. So that's what is also possible with the ISP. And in the modern new houses, I would say that's really trendy to not have a dedicated home theater, but to have a space that evolve, you know, that can transform itself, like with the shading and all that, all automated. And when you can have this synchronized with the sound coming from your ceiling, and all of a sudden that's the theater that takes its life. That's really good. And that's again, you know, the thing here is that we are a brand of the custom install, and a lot of these things come from discussions that we have with you, with your integrators, with the people in the field, people who tells us, you know what, we love your product, but there are something missing. You know, oh, really? We missed something? Tell me about it. Okay. Oh, all right. That's good. Let me talk to the guys in the software team, and we'll see what we can do in the next 6 months. And then we come with features like that, and that's really the way we move forward. It's really we anticipate things, but we also listen to how to let's say bring more with the same gear.
So obviously we've gone through the processor side of things, but obviously you've got the 16-channel amplifier, and you've also got an 8-channel amplifier, haven't you? You've got the PA8 Ultra and the PA16. So they've obviously come across as well and have the new facial look and everything in that respect for the Mark II range.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I mean, yeah, definitely. We have this PA16 and PA8 Ultra that we will illustrate. But interesting thing that you bring that up right now is that actually we have the processor, and the processor is the centerpiece of the system. And you know, we have a lot of monitoring capabilities, and this is part of our web UI capability. And one of the key aspects of the processor is that we really have this is one of our creed. You know, I mentioned about the ease of use and the ease of configuration, and this goes together with the with really the need of something that is about how you configure the product, and this is the intuitive web UI. And actually, the idea was to show you how this is working fine. And I think here maybe George, you want to bring up the web UI interface to the screen.
Mate. Crack. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, so now we have an ISP connected somewhere in the network, and simply by taking its IP address, you will get into the web UI interface, and here in that page, we have an easy access to the remote control, which is the basic access to all the commands that we provide to the end user. But the important thing for the calibrator, I mean the integrator, is to access the way to control the system.
I like how you expert setup. Makes people feel special there. That's nice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we. Yeah, and the idea to us at Storm Audio was to make something that is really easy. So you just take your web browser, I mean Firefox, Chrome. You take the IP address, you put in on the URL, then you connect, and then you go into a really an interesting flow of configuring. And that's the key of the configuration with the Storm Audio product, is that we try to provide a logical flow, and that's what you can see here. And illustration is that you start by the system definition, then you have all the inputs definition, then the main speakers where you can have you can create your theater. When you create a theater, you will be able to configure it in a very easy way with a very intuitive configuration tool. You know, you can, as long as you have channels left. Here I have 11 channels left. I can create maybe a 5.1.5, right, or 0.4. Let's look at that. So I'm defining my base layer right now. I can move into the height layer. Yeah, let's do a nice setup here.
You can see the bill getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's keep adding more.
Yeah, but now I already used my 11 channels, so I will have to stop here. But then I can say, yeah, then I'm happy with that. Then I have my summary all of a sudden. In the system, we don't have enough channels right now left, but you can say whether you have multi-way speakers, how many subwoofers you may want in the system. So you define here very easily in this graphical user interface, and then you will save your system, and you end up into the speakers definition page where you actually have all your channels defined, and this is where you decide what to do. You know, whether you do the base management manually or you go to DRAC. You press the DRAC button and you go to DRAC, and you go to your process, and this is here where you can define as many audio profiles as you wish per theater, and then you save your system. And once you have defined your audio profile in your theaters, you will create the presets that will be called by the control system. This is where we mentioned, you know, like if you want to have your theater mode, or you want to have your TV in the corner mode, or you want to have a music or movie mode in the main theater. So all of that can be defined here, and this is it. You know, this is pretty straightforward, and that's really this intuitive web UI interface. And if we go back now to the features, to the feature page.
Come on.
Yeah, he looks like he's sleeping in the background, right?
Like he's talking. You've got to get on it. Go.
Make some noise.
Yeah.
We can't hear you. No, yeah. Here we go. Yes, and you know, all this configuration that you've done right now, you created your presets. Well, Storm Audio, of course, we offer a multiple way to control the system. This is what you referred to. You have a lot of options. You can use infrared. We have an infrared port in the front panel, and we also have an infrared port in back panel. If you put that in a rack, you need to go for that. But we also have most of the required control systems over there, like Control 4, Crestron, Savant, RTI, Elan. We also have QCs right now. You know, the QSC amplifiers. We also have a plugin for that. So it's really easy to integrate an Storm Audio processor into any installation system. And of course, for those who, you know, have a basic room and they do not have automation and all that, they can just use our remote control that is working on iPad right now. And we're working on the Android version. It's coming soon, really soon. Maybe this will be a Christmas gift to you guys. But we're working not only on Android, but we also work on smartphone systems. So we will have iOS for iPhones and also for Android phones coming next year. So that's still you know, moving to the right direction. So it's really, you offer the control, easy way to control, easy configuration to all the integrators, and that's really the key features, really.
Well, the only thing is, though, there's one thing that you haven't talked about, and that is one thing I've seen there is low residual noise. Now,
yeah, that goes with the let's make some noise. That's the point. Well, you know, at Storm Audio, we like noise, really like noise. But only the
noise.
Only the good one. And yeah, well, reason why we put that here is that it's very important to know that actually the MK2 product is an extremely low noise, let's say, product. It's been redesigned versus the MK1s to provide really the state-of-the-art analog, let's say, output stages. And we are really proud now to actually show the number. I mean, 4 microvolt RMS is so low that actually it's the same kind of level you will get with a very high-end stereo preamp. But you know what? We do that for 32 channels, and we're very happy with that, because it's not only it's low noise. What does that mean? It means that, you know, in a system where you have expensive speakers with very nice compression driver, you know, I'm not going to give names, but you have beautiful horns, compression driver. This is what you usually like in LCR, because it's cinema, but also music. It's really dynamic, and it has really a limited loss of SPL over the distance. And in a room, often the screen is at 3-4 meters, and compression driver for that is really good. But the drawback of compression driver is that they are really efficient. Usually, you can go roughly at under 10 dB, you know, efficiency. And if you do not have a really silent preamp, well, then you can have the hiss noise. And you know, it's been at some point criticism we got on the MK1, but we decided that no way, MK2 is going to be the best preamp in the world. So you have to get no noise at all, and that's the move. So we have a really new DAC. It has a complete proprietary hybrid digital analog volume control in there, and with a beautifully made symmetrical output stage. The design is fully symmetric from the DAC to the connector, and that means a lot of let's say circuitry out there. But in the end, this is to provide that silent behavior, so that in the end you can have the extremely you know, small details in the song, like a small violin playing in the background, and all of a sudden you have a thunder striking. So you need to have this scale of dynamic that really should come from the very deep silence to the extreme high dynamic without any distortion, without any disturbances. So that's what we have achieved also with the MK2, and we are very proud of it. And this is why we like showing the noise number.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So top performance. It's how to say that? It's really critical to us, because, you know, we got rewarded, but that's also one of the thing that makes us really happy. It's not about the numbers, you know. It's really about the description we got from what happens when you listen to a system that is powered by a Storm Audio processor. Is that you don't hear it. You know, it's like extremely neutral, extremely transparent. It provides a lot of fluidity and details in the high tones, but all of that with the strength that is capable to drive any passive subwoofers that you connect to any kind of amplifier. It's really remarkably dynamic, and we love that, and that's really again, Storm Audio DNA, optimal performance. That's
the thing. Like, as you're talking, Sebastian, like you can see that passion in it. It's you guys care about the product you're putting out there. It's a real bespoke built product. You know, it's lovely. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, talking about dynamic, it's really actually as you mentioned, it cannot go without an amplifier somewhere, and this is really the perfect partners that we built for the processor. So we actually have 2 really powerful units in the product range. the P8 Ultra MK2 and the P816 MK2, and they are definitely for any situation. You know, whether you want to drive your let's say standard speakers, including the surround, or whether you want to drive LCR, you can do that, because actually we do deliver really top-notch performance here. Idea is that it's highly integrated. You know, we can put 16 channel in a 3 rack units. That's never seen. We are the highest channel count in the market. 16 channel, 200 watts, all channel driven, 8 ohms. That's something you don't see anywhere. And to us, it was very important, because we want to go also into, you know, the yachting business, the marine, and
really
space is really tight there, and people love when they can put a processor and 16 channel within basically 8 rack units, and it's like, yeah, of course you can do it. And you know what, you have also 3000 watts power capability in that beast. And again, with something extremely critical is that it needs to be extremely clean at low power. So that's this number, you know, at 1 watt you get like 0.03% THD. It's extremely nice, but at the same time we are providing all channels driven a 0.1% THD at when you look at the 16 channel, that's at 200 watts. But when you take the P8 Ultra, you can bridge and get 800 watts with that THD number. So that's impressive. You know, it's very important. If you have demanding LCR speakers, it's really key. But it's also nice because you can drive subwoofers. You have a lot of systems that are using passive subs. All the crossover, all the management is done in the processor, so you don't need to have an active subwoofer in that case. The range is done in that way, is to really be a perfect complementary range. You know, So
obviously the amplifiers within the unit are made by Pascal. They've got a lot of heritage in the industry, haven't they? So
yeah, I mean, I did not mention that. You're right. Thank you for asking. Indeed. Well, it's kind of difficult to go into the Class D technology on your own. It requires a lot of skills, and when we wanted to go into the amplifier business, we wanted to go with not the best, right, but the one that has the biggest presence in the business that is the most critical in terms of reliability and dynamic. And this is the public address, actually. You know, concert, all of that, and Pascal Audio is one of the leader in that space. And idea is the failure rate on that amplifier is extremely low. It's a point something, you know, 0.1, 0.2%. And you know, we never hear about our amplifiers. Nobody comes to us and say, hey, you know, I have a problem with my amps. Nope, it doesn't happen. We don't like that. And at the same time, they sound good. Again, one of the key aspects of this is it had to be neutral. It had to be neutral, because what we want at Storm Audio is that we don't want to have a sound signature. We want to make sure that the source and the speakers are the signature. We just want to bring the power to it. So it has to be dynamic, it has to be neutral, it has to be fine enough in the high tone so that you have all the very little details, so fast enough and all that. So that's really key. And yes, Pascal Audio, it was a very important partnership that we had with them. I mentioned here like UMAC, UREC, those are beautiful names. I like that, you know, these marketing guys. But in the end, that's technology that really brings audio, a musical thing, into real world. So that's the amps. It really partner well together, and they look, as you say, they look in the same way as the MK2 range.
In the rack at the moment, and they having that facial look, it finishes the product really nicely.
Yeah, it's nice. Thank you. We appreciate that. It's also appreciated by other guys. That's good. So cool. I think that's about the product range, right? But you know, now what we I don't know if you have anything else you want me to talk about.
Guys, obviously you've been manning the comments. Has there been any questions flying about? Is there any sort of things that we need to sort of cover? I mean, you're so knowledgeable, Sebastian. You've really sort of put a lot of information out there, and I think people are really sort of if they had any questions, they've been answered. But I don't know if there was any questions.
I was going to say, you know, your crazy producer director standing in the background. We're actually getting most of the questions answered. So thanks for raising all of those, guys, for those who can hear me.
Brilliant news.
If there's any other questions that anyone would like to raise, and then Simon can just go through those. We're happy to go into a little bit of the Q&A now. Sebastian, if you just want to bounce to that next slide, if you've got it. But yeah, any other questions you have? Most of it's pretty straightforward, actually.
Yeah.
It's been a really good explanation.
That's
I think
awesome.
a good webinar all in all, actually, guys.
Awesome. The next slide was actually on a kind of summary topic that is really important to us, and then we can go to the Q&A. But I think here in the end, you know, for Storm Audio, the very important and critical thing is that the success of the integrator is when he goes in on site, and then he knows that the job can be done in the same day. And if he could, he can do it faster. And here, you know, we know and we are confident that actually you can do a very nice system within 2 hours. You know, it takes no more than 20 minutes to set up all the basics with the network, the inputs, and all that. Take an additional 20 to define the speakers configuration, as I could show you earlier, and make your output mapping if you need to change that. Whether or not you want to do manual calibration, you start doing your base management, levels and delays and all that. But then you move into calibration. And if you go through the automated systems, you know, it takes on the big system, I would say really up to 24 channels, for example. Configuration, I mean, the direct calibration takes roughly 40 minutes. And that's really nice. And all measurements, crossover, everything is done automatically in that case. And once you're done with that, the remaining steps is to complete the automation. You need to define your presets where you say, okay, I have all my different acoustics that I've defined, my target curves. I need to make that experience to my end user, and what he wants is just a single button press. Well, you can do that. You can do it through the control systems using the drivers that we provide that are very easy to use. But also in some systems, we only need IR control. And when you look at the Logitech Harmony, for example, it's a very nice way to have an easy integration with activity-based system. And we are fully integrated into the database. So that's that. And if you don't want that at all, you can use the Storm Remote app. So, and all that with a good listening experience, it's no more than 2 hours. And after that comes really the tweaking. This is when you would involve your customer and eventually you know, ask him to give his preference. And then maybe you have some back and forth in tweaking the rack and creating new curve and then new presets, and then you listen again. That's really 2 hours to have a top-notch theater performance.
That's awesome. The key thing really for integrators is time. You know, the expectations of clients are very high, and time is of the essence. So to be able to get in once it's all kind of set up in an install way, you're able to kind of configure everything, get the fine tuning done in a really good amount of time. And for those integrators, that time is where that money is, you know. So that's really good thing to point out.
Correct. And you know what, you can, and this is what we've seen into some really professionalized, let's say, integrator, those who have a lot of rooms to build and all that. They have people in the office, people on the road. With the ISP, one thing good that you can do is that you can have a certain setup in the office. You prepare the complete setup. You know, the only thing you don't do is the measurements, but you can pre-configure everything. You have a configuration file. You have your guy out there on the road. He connects the products at the customer space. You send him the configuration file. He loads it. Well, it's all there. The only thing he needs to do then is the measurement. Everything else can be done remotely. He can do that at the office. One guy can do it at the office, control system and all that, and the rest is done on site. And that's really it. I mean, the processor is done for that. And not only, I mean, if you were to replace a processor, you just take the configuration file, put it in the new one, and that's it. No difference for the end user.
Done.
So that's key of it, you know. Quick, easy configuration, and yeah, we hope a good service to the integrators.
Definitely, Sebastian, mate, that has been absolutely eye-opening to what the capabilities of this product is there. And I mean, obviously, any questions that the guys have got, obviously, we've got the Q&A come up. So is there any actual sort of questions that we needed to pull in? Huh? Check comments.
Yeah, so we just had Kane just jumping in, just asking, you missed the start of the presentation, just asking about Dirac and why Storm chose that. I think that was earlier on the slide.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that over David in the background with the microphone, but one of the questions was, what was your reasoning behind going with a format like Dirac?
Reason behind? Well, you know, when Storm Audio came into the custom install world, we looked at whole the calibration thing and how we should do it. Initially, we had the plan, and this was at the time we were still within Oro. We had the time to work deeply with people who were more involved in the barcode side and all these guys, you know, coming from the cinema, and they had extremely nice tools. And we had the idea that, yeah, you know, let's try to do something internally and in-house and have our own calibration system. But at some point we realized that it opens so many doors, and it's an expertise in itself. And so we decided, okay, it's not us. We're not enough. We would need to hire as many engineers as we already have. How we do it? So we looked at what's available and what was available at that time. You know, you look at Odyssey and some other things, and actually Dirac was the most serious one at that time. And it was used by Datasat. We could verify that it was performing quite okay. And
yeah,
and knowing their roadmap, it was kind of obvious that we had to partner with them. And the good thing is that it became a collaboration. You know, we are working extremely closely with Dirac. Actually, the 2.0 implementation has been done really in parallel with us. All this network-based, Linux-oriented implementation has been rolled out at the same time with Storm Audio and at Dirac, and we've been kind of, you know, not helping them, it's not the word, but we were really beta testing for them, and we were working together, and that really built up the relationship. And the good thing of that is that we are good in processor. We do nice hardware and DSP software that can do all the, you know, you take the signal, you do something. Yeah. Dirac knows they have the skill to understand a room, to understand speakers, and how all of that behave together. We leave their expertise, and we like it, and we build things together in a way that we get the best out of it. And that's why we had to work with companies like Dirac, and honestly, with the base control, we think that we made really the right choice. And the good thing with the relationship we have with them for a few years now is that it took us quite not a long of time to get base control to work. Also because we have our own DSP engineer, and that makes the whole difference. You know, we know that in some implementation, Dirac is not working that good, but that's actually because of the implementation. And then in our case, no problem. We're very happy. It's good partnership. So the reason is that, you know, let's keep our own expertise. If the company grow in the future, what everybody hope, maybe at some point we will have enough resources or good ideas to come with some new stuff in that field. But for now, Dirac is the one, and we're very happy with them.
That's awesome. So that question actually came from Kane. And Kane, I'll be on the phone to you over the weekend if you want, because we need to organise some more bits together. But actually, Kane, well, thanks for asking that question, because you guys have been really supportive recently, and that kind of leads me on to say, really, like, Seb, thank you for putting this together today, because that presentation was absolutely incredible. I mean, this is the first live event for Pulse Cinemas. You guys really stepped up to come in and present for us, and It's been absolutely incredible, and we really, really appreciate it. Oh, you're calling someone in, are you?
Yeah, you wanted to see some guys, right?
Hi guys.
You want to see our friends?
Pass me a mask. Olivier, was that good? Yeah, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was really nice. Thank you for all the team for organizing this, and thank you, Sebastian, of course. Yeah, you're looking good, Simon.
Thank you. Nice.
We hope everybody enjoyed this, and we can make it again soon.
Sure.
Definitely. We were saying some cooking shows, so the French cuisine side of things. I mean, do some French and Italian fusion food and watch a film at the same time. So it's going to be really cool.
You know, French are good for cuisine, but it seems that French are even better at processors.
True. Italians are crap at it. So
France is the processor valley.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, guys, and we'll speak to you very soon. But I hope you have a lovely weekend, and we really, really appreciate it. So we'll see you soon, guys. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining the live session today. It was absolutely awesome to do. Every Friday, 3 p.m. It could be a webinar like you've just seen. It could be a session with me talking to an integrator. And to be honest, there's a lot of people that's tuned in today. And if you have certain subjects that you want to talk about with me, then feel free, join me. Let's talk about this as an industry, because we're all in this together, and it's going to be a really, really exciting times. Make sure that you're following us on all the platforms. So you've got your Facebooks, you've got your LinkedIn's, you've got your Instagrams, your Twitters, and now YouTube as well. So all of this kind of creative media is going to be put out over the weeks. And also I've got my own Facebook page as well, which is called Simon Pulse, which I'm currently building. It's going to give you a little bit more of the behind the scenes of Pulse and how we work as a company and what we're going to be doing. There's some incredible updates coming soon as well. So we're really looking forward to the lead up to Christmas and the start of 2021, which is going to be an incredible year. But thank you so much for guys for joining, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.